Hello and welcome to the 2023 movie Smackdown Throwdown review final list assembly. One hobby that I've gotten into a lot this year has been movie watching, and I thought it'd be a fun idea to just throw together an ordered list, ranking them from most favorite to least favorite. I think this is going to be extremely difficult, and I watched just an absolute ton of movies. Not every movie has been even added to the list yet. I'm expecting there to probably be about 170 movies once this is all done, so we're gonna break it up. Anyways, just a couple things to start us off. Please give me any comments or feedback on how you would order things differently, or maybe even movie recommendations. But you're talking to a guy whose second favorite movie of all time is Hoodwinked. So, there's probably going to be some controversial or disagreeable stuff in this movie. This is, it's going to be 170 movies that I've been watching over the past 11 months. It's actually November right now. I'm starting early because I think it might take a while. So there will be like chops, cuts in time. I'm also new to the medium, so I'm watching a lot of like the best of the genres. So there's very little like actually bad movies. I watch a lot of thrillers and mysteries because those are exciting to me. I think I actually did a pretty good job of hitting a little bit of kind of most genres. Things I don't like are horror. Like, there's probably not one like actually scary movie on this list, but plenty of things that scared me still, which we can get into. This is going to be pretty laid back, not too much editing. And right now, I think the thought process is going to be to split it up into 3 videos. Depends on how long each one runs, how bad I think it is. With all that out of the way, let's get started. So, we've got all our movies on the left that I've seen. Again, not every one that's been covered yet. But is 171 right? That seems like way too much. I don't think that's right even. Okay, I did not watch 171 movies. This is going to be cleaned up. This is very intimidating. There's a lot of stuff right here. I'm expecting there to be around 116. I have a doc where I write down really short reviews, which are all trash and are not really worth anyone reading besides myself. I'm currently at 150. I think in 1 month, expect to watch around 15, 20 movies or something like that, a month and a week. I think that's reasonable. So there's going to be 121. So a lot of we're going to have to delete some rows here, but that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. It's not important for today's purposes. What is important for today's purposes is ranking these first movies. I'm going to try to do like 10 right now, see how it feels, see how it works. If I don't like it, can improve upon it for next time. The first movie that I watched of 2023 was Yo Jimbo, a classic samurai film, which the leading actor of which is extremely good. I think it's Kurosawa. He's like one of the more famous Japanese old school directors, which influenced a countless amount of stuff. This movie was really good. The only thing that I really remember not liking, so I've watched a decent amount of like samurai stuff before, mostly animated, and I kind of don't super love the trope of samurai versus guns. I get it's very important, and it's something I'm sure a lot of samurai struggled to deal with, which makes it really great for movies. But it's something I've seen a lot. I don't even think this movie does it poorly. It's not even really a factor. I think oh yeah, this is a great movie. Is it going to fit in the very top? I'm not sure for now. I feel very confident throwing it in here. Um, Assembly of the Astral. I didn't read off all these category names, but I came up with a bunch of goofy ass shit. Top one, Guardians of the Great, Assembly of the Astral, Council of the Courageous, Mountain of the Mammoth. Should probably be like Mammoths. Gathering of the Great, Battalion of the Besieged. This is one of the weirder ones. Department of the Decent, and the Mosh of the Mediocre. So yeah, Yojimbo, a really good first movie. Off to a good start. These movies are probably going to have to be moved around a lot because there's a lot of shit to fit in. Just like the very next movie, Ghost in the Shell 2 Innocence. If you're watching this video, there's a good chance that you know that the first Ghost in the Shell film is very special to me. I really, really love that film. For a long time, I was scared to watch the second one. Thought like, oh, they'd ruin it or something about it would be weird. What they really did is they made it 100 times more confusing. I'm pretty sure in my review I wrote that I was not sober when I watched this. It's also part of the problem, but this movie is very confusing, and instead of following the major from the first movie, it obviously follows Bato, which if you know the first movie, makes sense. I think Bato has a ponytail. I think this is the start of Bato's like ponytail arc. I fucking hate his ponytail. I don't like it. But otherwise I like Bato. This movie is really, really confusing. I don't expect me to defend it too much, but it's not bad. We can throw it in the Gathering of the Great. That might be a little high once other movies start filling in these places, but you know, whatever. Okay, we should. The rows were bothering me. They might have to be adjusted more once more movies are decided upon. But we greatly trimmed the bottle couple rows to make room for the good stuff. Let's continue on. One Piece film gold. A lot of One Piece films in this list. AKA I think like 3. I won't try to tell you this movie is like high art, peak cinema, something non-One Piece fans should watch. But this movie is really good. The animation in the movies is like fucking spectacular. And while it can feel a little, and it's like, you could say it's like predictable, like obviously nothing like that bad is going to happen. They do a pretty good job of setting up a conflict, resolving it in fun ways. This film, what I remember about this film actually is it introduces a character who's like Nami's equal. She's like Nami's friend, and their kind of relationship is cool. And this movie is like a heist film. It's all about like a guy who's running a casino. Luffy and the gang like lose a game at the casino and get sent to like some mines or something, and they gotta get their way out of it. And it's a good film. That's a good movie. I'd watch that one again. I would. This cell merging stuff's gonna piss me off. A Night at the Roxbury. Okay, here it is. A front runner for worst movie I watched this year. Probably not the actual worst, but it's really up there. This movie, the only thing, I don't know if this movie ever made me laugh. It's two actors who I'm looking up, basically just being idiots and inappropriate. Yeah, it has Will Ferrell, who I do like Will Ferrell, but this movie is just very stupid, very silly. It has a lot of stuff that hasn't aged super great, but this movie uses the song "What Is Love" a lot, and it's actually very effective. That song fucking rules. There's like a whole plot about Will Ferrell like marrying someone he doesn't want to or something. I don't even remember that much. I'm pretty sure someone in the lads Discord actually likes this movie too. So I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay, I didn't like it that much. I didn't like it that much. Rango. This is a Def J highly rated movie. I like it a lot. I don't quite have nostalgia for it because it was the first time I watched it, but I think in a lot of ways it holds up pretty well, even to someone in their late 20s watching a movie definitely made for kids. Artistically, they do a pretty good job of seamlessly putting in, like, I assume CGI characters, but like the backgrounds and a lot of the art, like buildings and stuff, looks very realistic. I love Western kind of stuff. There's a character in this movie that is a rattlesnake with like a Gatling gun on its tail. That's cool as fuck. Definitely better than Ghost in the Shell. Not better than One Piece. Sorry about that. We'll see. I mean, maybe as more things fill in, I'll feel differently. These are just kind of starting positions to get us started. Now we got a Leonardo DiCaprio film. Is this one Scorsese? Made Shutter Island. This is a Scorsese film. This is the perfect amount of kind of horror or tension to me, where this island is very unsettling, and there's a couple scary scenes or locations, but definitely doesn't qualify as a horror movie. This movie is very good. Obviously, it's very famous, probably for its ending. I don't know how other people really feel about it, but I was actually pretty invested in what was going on, and I found this to be a great film. This was great. This one could even maybe go higher in time, but definitely better than One Piece. Gonna be really funny comparing everything to One Piece here in the beginning, but you know, here we go. Sanjuro, the sequel to Yojimbo. I think at a point in time, I might have told Chimpy that I like this one more than Yojimbo. Do I still feel that way? Sanjuro is the same main character from Yojimbo, now in a new scenario, but basically kind of doing similar stuff. Maybe he's more charitable in this movie, where he's, in the first movie, he's kind of looking out for himself, you know, just being a renegade of sorts. This one, he's actually trying to help some people who were wronged. Let's check my review really quick. What did I write about it back in the day? My initial review actually says I like Yojimbo more. So I don't know what I'm remembering. Don't really have... Maybe the fact that I remember less about it is a good indication that I liked it less. I'm going to throw Sanjuro slightly above Shutter Island, but definitely a little behind Yojimbo. I struggle to remember very many funny moments or interesting moments. This one maybe deserves to go a little bit lower. There's a final fight at the end that's like pure honor. Like the plot of the movie's been resolved. That was pretty cool. I remember there's like a gimmick or something where like they're trying to like get something in a river to like float down a river to another person's house, and the main character has like a funny way of like tricking the bad guys involving that river gimmick. That's all pretty fun. Those are some good moments. I'm remembering more of it now that we talk about it. Moving on, we got A Place Beyond the Pines. This movie, Chimpy calls White Trash Drive, at least the beginning. This movie is like two perspective stories. One involving Ryan Gosling, who's like, yeah, he works at like a circus, like as a stuntman, and he finds out he has a kid, and he's like, he's kind of a shitty dude, but he's trying to weasel his way into his kid's life, which, you know, isn't a weasel's a bad word, maybe. He's trying to turn the leaf, I kind of think, but he's not doing it in a great way. And Bradley Cooper's story is about, like, it's like a cop who gets stuck in some, like, cop drama. I think this movie went on too long. I find the ending a little weird. I guess I haven't really talked about if this video is gonna, like, spoil movies. I'm gonna try not to in a lot of instances. I'll leave it at the ending. There's, like, a kid character at the end of this movie that does something very random or weird that I wasn't sure how I felt about. But I have to admit, this movie was kind of profound to me in some ways, some slight ways. It's the kind of movie that, like, I think made me, like, call my mom. Not particularly because this movie's amazing, but I think there's something about it that makes it good. Something that was like, hey, Jake, you should check in with your family today. Now, fuck A Place Beyond the Pines. Gosford motherfucking Park. I was destined to like this movie from the outset. One thing I've discovered watching a lot of movies this year is I love murder mysteries. And Gosford Park isn't really a murder mystery, but it's kind of bunched in with them because it is a part of the plot. Gosford Park is just fucking absolutely amazing. It is a challenge for the senses. It does things very differently than a lot of movies, but it's extremely entertaining, extremely gripping. It's not easy to follow. It's like a quiz for the brain. It's like, I don't think I've written it down yet, but you know how in most murder mysteries, like, they introduce the guests to, like, one by one. It's like, here's this guest, here's his shtick. He'll interact with people for a little bit. Here comes the next guest. It's like what Clue does, right? Clue has people show up one at a time. In Gosford Park, you're the last fucking person to show up, and nobody pauses to, like, make things easier to understand. You gotta, like, work to keep track of names, and the plot that is actually finally revealed or told is just so much fucking fun. It's emotionally powerful too. This movie automatically gets +5 points for having an absolutely packed cast of superstars. I have a huge crush on... The fuck is she? Why is she not at the top? Oh, I can't find her on IMDb. Pause. Hold on. Kelly MacDonald. Kelly fucking MacDonald. I mean, a lot of the actors in this movie are just hot, but Kelly MacDonald, bro, she's listed at the very bottom of the IMDb page, and she is literally the main character of the movie. It's literally about her. Yeah. There's, like, maybe one kind of subplot about the movie that isn't really that important or that that likable, but it all adds to it. Every character has their own kind of plot going on. I knew this was gonna fuck up the colors. All right, Gosford Park, the formatting is absolutely getting ruined. I'm putting it here for now. This is a very strong contender for top 1. I actually rewatched it again later this year with my mom, and this is the kind of movie that's great for rewatching too. This movie is just fucking incredible. Anytime I watch a movie and I see an actor that's from this movie in it, I pop off. So great movie. I'll move on. Definitely watch this if you haven't seen it. This is my one recommendation to you, the viewer. Watch Gosford Park, okay? And if you don't like it, don't tell me about it. I'm sorry, okay? No, please tell me about it, even if you don't have the best time. Okay. Next up, we're back to anime, baby. Lupin the Third versus Cat's Eye. I actually knew little to nothing about Cat's Eye, but I am a Lupin the third Freak, bro. I absolutely watch an insane amount of Lupin. Um, this movie is controversial for it has like a CGI 3D like kind of art style that's kind of weird, and this more so focuses on Cat's Eye kind of crew from what I remember than the Lupin crew. The Lupin crew are like kind of villains, but then like they're kind of not. I think there's some interaction between like Lupin's supporting cast and Cat's Eye's supporting cast. That's pretty fun. Overall, this movie is just okay. Lupin to me is comfort food. I would never say any of those movies are really actually that good. Let's put it in here and let's put this movie lower. let's, no, we'll keep that one above that, but great. I wouldn't call these movies great. They're just okay. They're just fine. Porco Rosso. Now we get to the good animated stuff. This movie is a fucking vibe. Easily better than everything below it. This movie only has some slight problems that there's this one character who's very cool. She's very hype, but just the way other characters talk about her or talk to her is just the weird kind of Japanese or anime style that's just borderline inappropriate and hard to defend or talk about. But everything aside from that is literally like an 11 out of 10. This movie's so fun. It makes you feel nostalgic for a time period that is, in actuality, is really probably kind of boring. This movie absolutely rules. I'm going to give it a high ranking for Porco Rosso. Next up is The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, a Daniel Craig film based on a book. This movie features probably some of the most difficult to watch scenes I've ever seen this year, potentially ever seen, period. If you're going to watch this one, look up subject material probably beforehand. Being blindsided with what was in this movie was very shocking. But the content being so serious or dramatic did make it a very tense movie to watch as to slowly learning and uncovering the secrets behind the very sinister shit going on. This movie's great. Maybe not super great, but it's good. It kind of like pretends to like grow some romance between Daniel Craig and the girl he's working with, which I never liked in the movie, which is going to be a very common thing from me in all of this. Is I'm picky about romance in movies. I don't know, but then it tries to act dramatic at the end when like the romance breaks apart, and I kind of feel for the girl a little bit. Like, Daniel Craig is definitely a bit of a douche in this movie. I still like him, but he's just trying to solve one thing and move on with his life. Where do we put it? Putting it behind One Piece feels slightly insulting, but I think I like it. I think I like it. Maybe at the bottom of the Council of Courageous. Potentially a movie that will move down more, but we will see. Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. Okay, one of the most British films I've seen this year. I guess Gosford Park. I don't actually remember if Gosford Park is British. I think it's British. I'm really sorry about that. But this is also up there. This is like a heist film kind of thing with an extremely large comedy focus. This movie features potentially a top 2 joke I've seen of the year. I might be forgetting some stuff, but there's this one joke in this movie about a girl who smokes a lot of weed and basically blends in with the couch when she's like napping. If you've seen the film, you gotta know what I'm talking about. Otherwise, things about it, it's good, but it's definitely not Assembly of the Astral. Is it better than Rango? I'm thinking no. No, but better than The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. We're very congested here. A lot of movies are gonna have to get pushed down. This is gonna be very difficult. Speaking of very difficult, oh my god, Under the Skin. This is a movie where the more I think about it, the more I'm impressed with its creativity. And it's just so different. But I have to be honest that I also think it's a very difficult watch. This movie is fucking brutal at times. It goes insane periods of length without talking. It makes things extremely difficult to try to follow. I love this movie, and I would recommend this film to hardcore film people. If you don't think you fit into hardcore film status, you should not watch this. But this is extremely unique, and it's gonna hurt me that I can't actually rate it that high, because I think it's so experimental, so weird. It's definitely better than a lot of this, but better than this stuff for sure. A Night at the Roxbury. Yeah, I'm gonna throw it in here, and I think I'm gonna leave that as is. I was considering dropping that. That's tough, man. That's tough. I think this movie features Scarlett Johansson, bro. Where the fuck does she find time to be in something this risky? There's some fun facts you can learn about this movie too, about her. A lot of this was filmed on street with not asking the other people their permission until after they got the shots. It was fucking hardcore in a lot of ways. Whatever, man. I'm gonna leave it like that for now. Okay, let's try to finish the first batch, aiming to get to around 33, somewhere around there. My voice is kind of dying already, but we're gonna hope for the best. And I realized in the first recording that my camera was blocking the top left. I'm sure that was annoying. That's why we're in the new spot. New One Piece film Red. I was actually thinking about this beforehand. I have no idea how to compare these two films. Sorry, 1 second. One Piece film Red is a bit more emotional. It kind of teased being about this one character who's very important to the story, but then it kind of wasn't really about them. This one is way more musical too, and the music is really fucking good. I think this is better than One Piece Film Gold. Let's put this one here. Let's throw all these down a bit, which might be a continuing trend with these movies throughout the sessions here, but let's throw that down. We got Tarantino up next with Reservoir Dogs. I was actually in an interesting position with this movie where I kind of accidentally had a lot of scenes kind of spoiled without actually knowing that it was from this movie. So when I was watching it, I was like, oh yeah, shit, I've seen a lot of these scenes before. This movie's good. I think the Quentin Tarantino dialogue or whatever, I think is very successful. at the beginning with like the conversation about tips. That's obviously pretty iconic, but there's like a whole part in the beginning where like Quentin Tarantino has this like insanely inappropriate discussion about something I don't even remember, but it was not very pleasant. There's also some like pretty tough to watch gore, but this movie is still good. Obviously, it's entertaining considering that like 90% of the movie takes place in like one room. But how do we feel about it compared to the competition? I'm gonna throw it here, and I want to throw this down. Is what we're gonna do. So leave it like that for now. Might be hot takes, but we have a lot of really good movies, so some of these good movies are gonna have to slide quite a bit, So, okay, The Nice Guys. Wow. Okay, this was a movie I watched when I was home on vacation. Had a night to myself where nothing was going on, and I was thinking to myself, what am I going to do to pass the time? So I Googled like best movies on Netflix, and this one was very highly recommended. And I ended up walking away very mixed from it. This movie is occasionally really funny. It features Ryan Gosling and somebody else, who I will double check right now, Russell Crowe. There's like one bit where like Ryan Gosling's like swimming at a very inappropriate time to be swimming that really got a good laugh out of me. But I think this movie is swinging very rapidly between comedy but also like very serious kind of thriller mystery territory, and for me personally it was very jarring. I think a lot of people like this movie. People speak about this movie very positively. So I might be the odd one out. Maybe I just had a bad day with it or something. I don't know. But it's still in the gathering of the great. It's a good movie, but it's gonna be pretty low on this list, I expect. What is not going to be very low on this list is the Grand Budapest Hotel. One thing I learned a lot this year is that I really like Wes Anderson. Stylistically, he's very cool, and he makes very entertaining films. The time period and like, I don't know, this movie's like very passionate, very loving towards an extremely random profession that like you would never think of as like a good job or a cool job, but it's just this one character so captivating, so charming. Him and his little buddies like relationship as they like get along more and more is just enthralling. Eventually this movie like the part where like he ends up in prison and it kind of gets off the rails a bit, but the main character is just so fun to watch, really, no matter what's going on. So this one is very likely to hold a place in the top five. It's going to be tough to compare this movie to another Wes Anderson film from this year that I liked a lot. But moving on, we have the Street Fighter 2 animated movie. I was very bummed out that I actually didn't like this movie. This movie is a great GIF creator where you take certain moments or certain scenes with like Cammy like assassinating the president, Chun-Li versus Vega. You know, a lot of the fights are really pretty good, but the overall complete plot and just everything was just sadly kind of boring to me, which feels criminal because I love Street Fighter and I love these characters. But this is gonna be this is really low currently. We might reevaluate it, but there's a lot of really good movies on this list, and it's only gonna get tougher. So something's gotta go down there, you know. The Handmaiden. I'm gonna look up this director's name, but this is the director of Oldboy, one of my favorites, and he's done some other stuff. recently. I think he's the Decision to Leave guy. Is that right? Am I wrong? Park Chan-wook. This guy is fucking incredible. He makes some tough to watch, but just absolutely captivating shit. In my opinion, this movie runs a bit too long, and even for him, some of the subject matter is just a little hard to stomach. But that being said, this movie had my jaw on the floor, at least in a couple situations. There's like I think it's like the male lead. It's kind of about these two people trying to scam a rich family, and the male scammer, where his story ends, I think, it's just fucking intense, man. It's fucking great. Overall, a bit too long, but really good movie. Really good. American Psycho. Okay. Christian Bale, is that the right guy? I'm really sorry if it's not. American Psycho. Yeah, it is Christian Bale. Okay, dude. Christian Bale is incredible. He's fucking incredible. I get that a lot of people have, like, misinterpreted the film, or, like, you know, fans of the film who have just completely missed the message or the point of it. I like to think I'm not one of those guys. But Christian Bale is just fucking fascinating. And, you know, the world he lives in is so fucking bizarre, but exciting. Do I like it more than The Great Budapest Hotel? I'm going to say I do. We're hitting some really good movies. I guess we're kind of going back and forth, but American Psycho, man. This movie's fucking great. The way it ends, too. A lot of movies that have... I'm going to be very careful on how I word this as to not ruin it for other people, but a lot of movies that have endings like American Psycho, typically, like, the fan base or, like, you know, internet discussion of it will kind of accidentally, preemptively ruin for people. I guess Christian Bale's performance is so crazy in this that you just never hear anyone, like, really talk about the plot. It's just, you know, business cards and all his favorite music. Dude, the writing and the performance for him describing the music he likes is so fucking good. And oh my god. There's like a scene too where, like, it's like a sex worker who has, like, a really bad experience with him, and then he tries to pick her up a second time, and I'm just fucking screaming, like, you cannot get in the car with him. You cannot. And you'll never guess what she does. But this movie is fucking great. This movie is fucking fantastic. Sonic the Hedgehog. This movie is very mediocre. It does what you would want, what you would expect. It's a good film. For what you would want. I remember practically nothing about it. Let me pull up my reviews. Where in the fuck are my reviews? I don't know. No serious complaints. You know, it's a Sonic movie. And I am not a Sonic video game fan, but I was curious to see how this would turn out. Okay, my main point is that Jim Carrey Eggman feels like a match made in heaven, but I don't think he was given enough, or he just wasn't good. I don't know. Something about his writing. Jim Carrey felt like it should have been better. It should have been fucking better. I think they probably have a moment or two that's good, but just not as good as it could have been. My Darling Clementine, an old black and white Western. This movie is good, but it's in a genre that features some of my favorite films of all time, and it's not quite there. I think the main two actors of this movie are fucking great. there's like one of the characters is like very remorseful about his like previous profession, and the way that ties in is actually really well done. But the final conflict is just kind of sadly not nearly as interesting or as good as other cowboy films. I'm noticing a major crime on my list already. We're gonna rectify something here in a second. I'm gonna throw My Darling Clementine better than One Piece. Not you know, not the best of the best. The Handmaiden, I got hung up on it being long. It's fucking better than Sanjuro. This movie is fucking pretty fucking damn good. Okay, I'll try to stop swearing soon, but it's hard. The Handmaiden, better than Sanjuro. I feel good about that. Velvet Blue. This is a movie about a nosy white guy who like gets away with being extremely perverted and very weird, and has like a million things work out for him that should not work out for him. But the villain in this movie, one of the villains, is a fucking incredible performance. Fuck, I don't know if I'm gonna recognize him on IMDb. If you watch the movie, you know what I'm talking about. Pabst Blue Ribbon, dude. Oh my god. There's like the pretend commercials involving like that voice acting. That is incredible.
What kind of beer do you like? Heineken. Heineken? Fuck that shit! Pabst Blue Ribbon! I've got Pabst Blue.
And I think, how did this movie end? What did I write about this movie? Okay, in my review, I wrote down, if you attend a high school party as a college student, I think you're a loser. Sorry. I think that's somewhat pretty true. Maybe if you're a freshman, there's like a good reason for it, potentially. But yeah, this is a good movie. This is a great movie. I'm going to throw it in here. I'm going to throw it in there for sure. North by Northwest. Okay, I'm losing a lot of credibility right now. I'm not remembering the director. It's coming to me. I'm looking it up, but it's coming to me. Hitchcock. Of fucking course. It's goddamn Alfred Hitchcock. The big one. This movie is great. My rating of it is probably going to upset some people. I remember when I watched it, I told Chimpy that I didn't really like the romance. I'm picky, maybe, I don't know. This movie features a lot of great scenes, and I knew next to nothing about the plot of it going in, despite it being very highly rated. I think it's very fun. The beginning, there's like the scenes of him like invited to this place and how he gets home that gets him in all this trouble. Obviously, there's the airplane like crop duster scene, which is fucking great. But I think something about it just didn't quite perfectly add up to what I would want. There's some pretty noticeable, like early, I don't know if you'd call it like CGI or green screen or something, but there's like a fight on a cliff where, you know, it's old school and it's well done. It stands out a bit, and I'm not sure how I feel about it. Definitely a good movie. It's going in here. I don't remember enough about it to really explain why, to me, it comes up a little bit short, but still a great film. Still a great film. Howl's Moving Castle. This is a really highly rated Ghibli film. It was one of the later ones I've seen. I've seen a lot of Ghibli already, but Porco Rosso's already on this list. And Howl's Moving Castle is also really good. This is a movie where I didn't think I liked the romance in the beginning, but there is just an incredible animated sequence in like the final third of this film. That's probably my mom. where I was like, holy shit, no, I care. I fucking care. Okay, I admit it. I give it up. It's fucking great. Like, this movie is really special, I think. It features legitimate flashlight guards from, like, Sly Cooper. There's some great villain designs or enemy designs. And it's a pretty magical one. A pretty magical one. How mad do we want to make people? Do I like it more than Porco Rosso? I think there's less things. Like Porco Rosso, you have to like give some like warnings about the way they treat that one character. Howl's Moving Castle doesn't really have anything like that I remember. But where do we want to put it? This might be the toughest pick yet. Oh, I'm going to leave it on top of Porco Rosso. This is a great film. A Ghibli film I recommend to anybody interested in seeing some more of Ghibli's work. But man, this top section is getting really, really difficult already. Okay, Top Secret. This is like a really old, I assume, British like spy film, but it's like a spoof. It's very fucking goofy. Like a lot of old comedies, some things have not aged great. There's some like musical numbers that are very unfunny, I think. But there is an opening gag in this film that is a contender. God, there's like 2 scenes in this movie that could both be contenders for like best comedy moment I've seen this year. Overall, I don't think I can rate this movie actually that high. But there's some very likable moments or scenes in here. I think around there seems fine. I think The Nice Guys is gonna almost certainly have to go lower with time. But alright, let's finish up. Trying to get to either Sin City or Morocco is the last one. Intimate Confessions of... I assume there's supposed to be an A in here. Of a Chinese courtesan. Double check that really quick. But this is another movie in the Lady Snowblood cinematic universe where very, like, I think mid-90s or late 90s flick about a woman becoming very talented with swords to, like, right the wrongs of her childhood or something that happened to her parents. A couple of things I will say is I really find it tough to look at early uses of fake blood in these kind of films. Something about it is very unsettling to me. Maybe I'm just squeamish to blood in general. But the biggest crime against this movie is that there's a lot of sword fighting. And every time a sword hits another sword, it has the most ridiculous sound of all time. If I can find it, I'll include a clip. But it's so bad. Sword fights, while hype, are also very ear pain-inducing. It has kind of an ending that I was somewhat satisfied by. Definitely a good film, worth checking out if you're interested in some historical... I don't really think the film's historical, but like early Eastern film. I don't even really know if that's true, but it's got a similar kind of vibe. Where do we want it? I think I might like Top Secret better than it. It's definitely better than The Nice Guys. But do I like Top Secret more than Under the Skin? They're like insanely different. potentially insulting to say such a thing. This movie isn't even on IMDb. This one, I can't even find it. It's still up here. Get off of here. Dread, baby. Dread. Who's the actor for this? The actor for this, the 2012, Carl Urban, gives me like Solid Snake vibes, where he's so ridiculously serious and like straight faced that he's like legitimately like funny. And I think a lot of things about this movie are just exactly hand tailored for my taste. It features cyberpunk setting, Metal Gear Solid fucking main character. It has a girl with like psychic powers, which is a trope I just have to admit that I really like in a lot of films. She's also like got a bit of like gun prowess and like hand-to-hand kind of combat scenes. This movie has a lot, and similar to like Katana Zero too. It's kind of like about a drug that like has time-altering ability. I mean, this movie is just fucking made for me, man. It's fucking made for me. This movie's great. Let's piss some people off, baby. I like it more than Velvet Blue. Yeah, I do. Better than Howl's Moving Castle and Sorts. I don't know. I don't think so. Moving on. A Kiss Before Dying, 1956. This has got to be extremely early color era. There's a lot of... I'm pretty sure when they played this movie, that this movie like gives credit to like something for saving it. Like, this was a movie almost lost to time. It was kind of the vibe I got. And in some ways, the color looks a little damaged in some scenes, but maybe it's just early color. I don't know. But this movie has a lot of strong vibes. It's kind of about this one guy just gaslighting or like trying to get away with like a million crimes to like weasel his way into a family of money. And it's good, but not super memorable or great. Let's double check if I wrote anything down about it before I move on. I wrote down that the main character's charisma was strong, so that's a good plus for it. We'll put it above Ghost in the Shell then. The Nice Guys is probably better. Ooh. Unsure. Prisoners. This is about Jake Gyllenhaal and right-wing Logan trying to unwrap an abduction problem in their city. This movie is very fucking tense. This movie might feature one of the scariest scenes that I had watched in 2023, where I forget if it's Jake or Logan, but someone goes into a basement to check something out, and that basement is fucking freaky, man. It is absolutely fucking freaky. Slight spoiler, but this movie actually has the generosity to not really jump scare you that much. This movie's good. Definitely better than My Darling Clementine. I think just on top of that sounds good. Let's finish it out. Let's end with Morocco. I already know where that movie's going. So we'll leave. That one will be a good one to end on. But Sin City, an extremely stylized movie based apparently on some comics I've never read. This movie is very interesting, very worth a watch. But this movie is broken up into 3 or 4 parts. And the best part is by far the second part. And once the second part ends, it's kind of slowly downhill, where it's kind of just slowly loses me. The way, like, the fourth part kind of wraps back into the first part, and it's interesting the way it kind of wraps everything back up. But something about the villain is just, like, really gross. There's just some gross shit you have to look at in this movie at times. Makes me feel like it's good, but not amazing. Let's see, do I like it? Conceptually, Under the Skin is way cooler, but Sin City is probably slightly more entertaining to actually watch. But not by much. I don't know. Maybe that means it should be above Under the Skin, but let's leave it like this for now. At the end of part 1, we'll do a reflection where we run back over all these and do it all. Morocco. This video is probably already too fucking long. This movie is gonna be really hard to get out of the bottom. I'm sure I am the only person watching this video who knows what Morocco is. This is a Mamoru Oshii film, if I'm correct. Mamoru Oshii. He's the director of Ghost in the Shell, and I was curious to see other things directed by him. And this movie was fucking upsetting. This movie was fucking boring. Yeah, it was just really boring. My review I wrote, there's occasionally some striking color schemes or OST, but it's just the plot of it is just frankly stupid from what I remember. This is probably the movie that felt like the biggest waste of time. So that's part 1 in the book. We got about 33 films in. Is that okay with our pace? If we're aiming to do 115 in 3 videos. That's not okay. Oh my god, we have to do more. Okay, well, I'm not really tired yet, so we'll try to speed it up maybe a little bit. We're pushing like 30 minutes. We're gonna edit the fuck out of this movie. But Police Story. This is a Jackie Chan flick. Has some really great like fight choreography. There's like this scene where there's like a car chase like down this city on like the side of a hill that's fucking insane. But any part of the movie that wasn't really about combat or, you know, just the scenes in between and the story, it was just kind of basic. They do, you know, they try to have some classic Jackie Chan comedy. I love Jackie, but, you know, it's a good film and a historically important one, I think, especially for Jackie's career, but not super great. Lucy, I'm pretty sure at one point in time I Googled movies with badass female protagonists, and this one came up, and that's not really a great way to describe this film, so I was kind of misled on it. But this movie isn't bad. It's okay. It's not going to rate super high. One of the weirder things that I wrote in my review about this is that this movie, like, extremely randomly shows animals giving birth for like 30 seconds. It's completely unprompted. There's some thematic reasons why they might have thought that was a good choice. I could have gone without it. I would have been fine without it. I'm putting this below anime, bro. This is better than Sonic the Hedgehog. I'm gonna say no. I like Sonic a bit more than Lucy, maybe. Sonic's pleasant. Dial M for Murder. This is more Hitchcock. One of the first. Sometimes, you know, I try not to read other people's reviews too much, but I saw a review of this film that said, like, mediocre Hitchcock. And I kind of agreed. Did I write down anything interesting about it? It really felt like a stage play where it's kind of just in one room, and it gets some decent tension sometimes. And the way the movie concludes feels pretty smart, but it's just not his best. Better than Sin City? I'm gonna say no. Put it at the bottom of the mountain. Oh my god, please. Now, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. This is like a Chinese kung fu film. I believe made in the early 2000s, so it has like some pretty high level technology for like flying people across sets. But it's, definitely a tribute to the old school shit. I love this movie. This movie has a romance I didn't really care too much about. Does this movie have Lucy Liu? No, Michelle Yeoh. I'm fucking really sorry, okay? I'm really sorry. Michelle is great. But really, what's the best in this movie is the child actor, who I believe is Ziyi Zhang. I think that's her. She fucking kicks ass in this fucking movie. Holy shit. She's a lot of fun to watch. I think the way it ends, like the final third, is not my favorite part of this movie. Kind of falls off a bit, but I definitely like it more than Yojimbo. Sorry, Jimbo. Just the way it is. Sword of the Stranger. This is an animated film, anime that is, I wrote down a very straightforward kind of classic story, but some of the combat and I think the final fight, this movie is all about setting up like, I think a Japanese samurai versus like an American assassin or something. Like I can't remember. It literally might be Chuck Norris or not. I don't know. But at the end of the movie, when those two guys are throwing down, it gets really good. I mean, it hits some emotional, strong points. I think it's better than the One Piece films. Is it better than My Darling Clementine? Yeah, easily it is. Is it better than Prisoners? I'm going to say no. This movie's good. This movie's really pretty good. Into the Spider-Verse. I was very late to watch this movie. I don't even remember why I decided I was going to. Oh, one of my friends at work was like, dude, we gotta go see the second one, man. And I was like, I haven't even seen the first one. So I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'll try the first one. And I was a big Spider-Man fan as a kid, but I've kind of moved on. I'm just not super interested in most superhero stuff nowadays, but this film is really pretty amazing. I mean, the animation, definitely like probably the coolest Western animation in like 10 years since the Minions made everything look like that. The West does not typically animate too much cool stuff. I'm sure there's some examples of Western animation still being really cool. The only thing I remember writing down about not loving this movie is that the beginning is kind of like introducing Spider-Man, Miles Morales, whatever, it's just like, I don't know. I know you have to do it, but it's just a lot less exciting than like what comes later. So, anything else about this? I really liked all the Spider-Mans, all the different versions of Spider-Man are a lot of fun. Where is this film going? Worse than Handmaiden? Oh, do I like Handmaiden more than North by Northwest? I just thought about that. Do I feel that way? I think all these gotta move. We gotta make some fucking room. Beep beep. Better than Dread? No. I'm putting my foot down. That's where it stops. That's where it stops, okay? And the very last film we're going to do, Thief, 1981. of the La Samurai cinematic universe, which I have not seen. And I just don't think I really like movies in this cinematic universe that much. This movie's good. What can I remember about it? What's iconic about it? I think it's too long. Um, again, I don't really like the romance, but I think that's like maybe kind of the point of this movie. I just don't know. There's like a scene of him like on a first date with her, and I'm just like, how in the fuck does that work out? He is terrible on that date. uh, um, what's our decision here, bros? I'm gonna throw it here. Am I moving this up? I think we're hopscotching it. We're hopscotching it, Jimmy. Okay, let's review the list from top to bottom. See if anything stands out as really bad. Please feel free to give any feedback in the comments about this. It'll definitely be a week or two before I do the next part, so there's time for me to make improvements if there's things you think could be better. But okay, Gosford Park, perfect, not moving. American Psycho, Grand Budapest Hotel, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, Yo Jimbo, Howl's Moving Castle, Porco Rosso, Dread, Into the Spider-Verse, Velvet Blue, North by Northwest, The Handmaiden, Sanjuro, Shutter Island. I think we can safely do that. Is Sanjuro gonna go worse, lower? No, not for right now. Prisoners. Do I like Sword of the Stranger more than Prisoners? Maybe I do, man. Maybe I do. Not enough to change it right now. Not enough. My Darling Clementine, One Piece Film Red, One Piece Film Gold. I'm gonna piss you guys off. Those One Piece films are fucking good, man. They're good. They're good movies, okay? I know, like, Chimpy likes this fucking film, but I don't know. I think this film was short, which I appreciated. A lot of cowboy films are not short. Let me see. I might be going too crazy here. This has Henry Fonda. How long is it? This is an hour 37. It gets points for that. A lot of cowboy films are use like 3 hours to tell their stories. I'm going too crazy. We'll put that back up here. Too crazy. Rango, Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, Reservoir Dogs, Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, Under the Skin, Police Story, Sin City, Dial M for Murder, Thief 1981, Top Secret, Intimate Confessions of a Chinese Courtesan, The Nice Guys. I think we gotta do some shit to this section. The Nice Guys isn't like that bad, but I mean, both these films gotta go lower in hindsight. What did I just do? I gotta be careful when I'm copying this shit. A Kiss Before Dying. No. Lupin the Third versus Cat's Eye. I'm standing up for Lupin the Third. That's a fine, fun movie. I would rewatch that film way before I would rewatch any of these other ones. I should rewatch Ghost in the Shell too. That's the exception to that sentence. But A Kiss Before Dying. Yeah, I think that's a fine spot for it. I think that's fine. Street Fighter 2 animated movie, Sonic the Hedgehog, Lucy, A Night at the Roxbury, and Morocco. I don't know if there's anything else that is going to be as bad as Morocco. I cannot say. We will see, but this feels like a good place to stop. Thank you to everyone for watching. Sorry, this is crazy long. It's going to be a doozy. Watched a lot of movies this year, but tune in about 2 weeks, something like that, for part two. Part two of this 3-part series. So, see you then.